It is tempting to unpack this gospel in terms of what Luke so often presents to us in his gospel, namely the preferential option for the poor, bringing to light the plight of the poor, the downtrodden, and the duty of all of us to care for them. But I'm confident that we all know our obligation to those who are less fortunate. And so I want to direct our attention to another feature of this gospel. And that's the state in which the rich man finds himself after death, in torment, separated by the goodness, by the side of Abraham, by a great, unbridgeable chasm. Luke makes it clear why the rich man ends up this way. Because he ignored Lazarus, committing the sin of omission, failing to attend to Lazarus, even in the easiest way possible. He simply had to allow him to eat the scraps that fell from his table. But again, I don't want to focus on our moral obligation to our neighbor, especially those who are poor. Rather, invite us to look at the downstream consequences of our actions. My sense is that we don't hear too much about the afterlife, especially hell. One reason may be that it would generate a lot of speculation and so many varied opinions about what it is. What's more is that the concept of hell or Sheol or Hades further complicate the matter, especially if we don't take into account the religious tradition from where a particular strand of these concepts emerge. Yet Jesus speaks perhaps the most of anyone else in Scripture about the afterlife. So let's consider just a few points in particular about hell from a Catholic perspective. First, I think we all know that hell is not a place. It has no spatial dimension. And neither does heaven, for that matter. Rather, it is a state of existence, either in the presence of God for all eternity, and we call that heaven, or in an eternal state of separation from God, we call that hell. So in a nutshell, what's the Catholic understanding of hell? It's this, quote, to die in mortal sin without repenting and accepting God's merciful love means remaining separated from Him forever by our free choice. This state of definitive self-exclusion from communion with God and the blessed is called hell. End quotation. That's it. Hell is an eternal state of separation from God. Sounds rather harsh, doesn't it? How can an infinitely merciful, loving, forgiving God condemn a soul to hell, to such a state of separation? Well, the answer is, He doesn't. God does not condemn anyone to hell. However, because He created us with free will, out of His unfathomable love for us, we may choose, in committing mortal sin, to separate ourselves from God. And if unrepentant, remain in a state of separation from God. God, in a sense, cannot and will not override our freedom. In recent years, it's been popular to ask questions like, is anyone actually in hell? Is hell empty? In the final analysis, does God really allow anyone to be in hell? Well, a Catholic response to these questions is, maybe. We simply don't know. The unwavering teaching about hell is that its existence is necessary, but at the same time, it is reasonable to hope that no soul actually exists in such a state. Here are the take-home points. First, because of human freedom, hell is a necessary state of existence. Second, whether any soul exists in this state is not known, and the Church, while she announces that some souls definitely are in heaven, she has never, nor will she ever, definitively declare souls to be in hell. And we shouldn't either, I would add. Lastly, lest we become distracted by contemplating these theological realities, let's not lose sight of our moral duties and our call to live the gospel, striving to live ever more virtuously, seeking to understand our faith, remaining focused on an ever-deepening relationship with Jesus Christ, who shows us the way, and who, along with our cooperation in the ways of faith, and in particular, the sacramental celebrations of confession and the Eucharist, help us to interiorize and to live out a preferential option for the poor. And unlike the rich man, especially avoid sins of omission and being separated from God.